Welcome back, everyone. It's the Bourbon Judge. Hey, we're back at it, and today, doing something a little bit different. I'm bringing you just called the top whiskeys of 2022, but not mine. My patrons, the patrons have spoke. So a lot of times, I did my own list. Obviously, a lot of my good friends in the whiskey tube world, they did their lists as well, and that's equally important, right? But I wanted to bring the power of the people. So this list is coming from my patrons. I reached out to my patrons and I was like, hey, community, let me know what was your favorite whiskey of 2022 and why. So I'm going to go through a few of these, not an exact number, but a few different ones and some of the thoughts that people kind of mentioned and so forth. Is that cool? All right. And the last one, so I will call out the number one. That'll be the last one. All right, so some of these I will say was actually pretty cool because I didn't even have a chance to even sip some of these. So I'm really interested to try them now that even my patrons are saying, hey, Judge, they are phenomenal and you need to try it at some point. Go to a bourbon bar, get a sample, maybe from them rather, and just make sure you try it because it was just that good. All right. So the first one on the list, and this one I did not try. This was actually a major surprise to me. So the first one on the list came in as the Booker's 2022 03, the March to Kentucky Tea. People said that bottle was absolutely amazing, and numerous people said it too. It was kind of a shock to me because Booker's is typically not in my lane in terms of a bottle that I normally go for. I do have several different bottles of Booker's, but not one that really typically, if I see it in the store, I'm not typically saying, oh, let me grab that bottle of Booker's. But hey, several of my patrons, they're like, Judge, you need to try it. It was one of the best Booker's batches in a long time. So that was one of the ones. What else came on the list? This is a brand that I definitely love myself very much. One that is always a constant hitter. It's a rye, and one that I think is absolutely amazing. But again, this came from my patrons, so I guess we share something in common from a palate perspective. This is the Michter's Barrel Strength Rye 2022 release. There's only so much I can even say about this, but I will say numerous patrons, at least 4 or 5, said this was absolutely one of the best bottles that they had all year. And I honestly have to agree with them because that bottle is absolutely amazing. It really is. Michter's hit the nail on the head with that release, as they typically do with their cask strength whiskeys as well. All right, the next one on the list, this one is let's just call it near and dear to my heart. I think, a lot of my patrons are like, hey, Judge, we tried this. I think, because you actually kind of gave us a sample, and then, we were able to get a bottle ourselves, and you're right, it's flat out ridiculous. None other than our good friend, Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend, Batch 85. So this bottle was a special bottle. It's one where, I'm happy to say that Nancy Fraley, the master blender and taster over at Joseph Magnus, she's doing a great job of producing more of Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend. So I've seen it more and more in the last, let's call it 6 months. But Batch 85 was a phenomenal and truly special batch. They're always typically special, but Batch 85 was just through the roof. Absolutely insane. All right, that made the list for several people as well. Another one that, now this one actually came out, I believe it came out either in late 2021 or early 2022, but people love this batch. I think it was late 2021, but a lot of people bought it in early 2022. This is 4-Gate Batch 17, the split stave. I will say, I have to agree, that was an excellent bottle. I actually did own that bottle, but I don't have it anymore because I finished it. It was such a fantastic bottle, but several people said, Judge, that 4-Gate Batch 17, the split stave, delicious. And I can't lie, it was pretty damn good. 4-Gate team, nice job there. All right, the next one is a little bit newer to me. So I recently did a review of this, and let's just say I am so glad that one of my good friends and one of my patrons was able to help me find a bottle of it because it's probably one of the best whiskeys flat out. It didn't make my top 10, but that's because I didn't even try it until a week ago. But now I have it, and let's just say I am equally happy as pleased as could be. 13th Colony Double Oaked Cask Strength. When I say this is one of the best whiskeys on the market, I'm telling you, It's one of the best whiskeys on the market. And several of my patrons who had it, owned bottles or tried it at different bars, they too said, Judge, this is absolutely fantastic. They actually tried it even before me, and they were like, this is a bottle you need to find. And luckily, with one of my patrons' help, I was able to find this bottle. 13th Colony Distillery out of Georgia. They're producing fantastic whiskey as a whole. The small batch bourbon, the small batch rye. This double oak cask strength bourbon, the first release back in 2022. Woo! This is just some special juice. Let's just say that. All right, next on the list. Now, this is another bottle that I have not tried yet, but I know several of my patrons were like, Judge, it's by far the best product from this distillery. None other than New Riff, the malted rye, the sherry finish. I know this was on a lot of different whiskey tubers top 10 lists as well, and several of my patrons were like, Judge, flat out, that New Riff malted sherry rye finish was just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. I have not tried that myself yet, but I am looking for it and I am on the hunt. Trust and believe. All right, a couple more. So now this one didn't make my list, but I respect it. But I did like this whiskey a lot. It's obviously a crowd favorite. Many of us love it. Got to give it up to Elijah Craig C922. I think this is one where a lot of different patrons in my group, you know, and we were kind of going back and forth as well. I think a lot of people love this bottle because fantastic quality, it's aged 12 years, it's cask strength, and for the most part, it's easily available. I mean, you might have to hunt a little bit, but you can typically find the whiskey, which is great. So Elijah Craig C922 was definitely a home run. Next, and this one was on my list. This is my number one, but not my patrons' number one. My number one whiskey for 2022, which my patrons, they happen to also love, Lucky 7, the Proprietor, aged 14 years. Absolutely amazing quality whiskey. One where I think, you know, this is sourced Barton 1792 juice, we believe. But this is absolutely fantastic. I mean, aged 14 years, cask strength Barton whiskey. Stop it. Just flat out stop it. All right. So I didn't rank all those other ones in order, but we did have to rank the number one. This number one pick, which by the way is in my glass. Let me go ahead and get a little small sip of this. Before I go into the number one, just want to say peace, cheers, salute. Thanks for all the love and support. Drop me a comment. Let me know. Do you agree with my patrons? Are there any bottles that you would maybe sub out for one of these? For one of yours? And last but not least, please make sure you also subscribe to the channel. All right, so cheers to everyone out there, and cheers to all my patrons. Thank you for all the love and all the support, and for giving me your different ideas. Cheers, everybody. Woo! So, what was the number one pick of 2022 for the Bourbon Judge patron community? Drum roll. The number one pick, which I just sipped myself, flat out, amazing quality whiskey. One that I knew it was going to be good, but I didn't know it was going to be that damn good. Knob Creek, aged 18 years. Absolutely, and I mean absolutely, a home run. This whiskey was so special. It's just so special on so many different levels. I loved it to death. You know, so many different notes of like caramel, peanuts, a little bit of maple syrup, some cinnamon. Absolutely just ridiculous. One of the best pours I had myself in 2022. And as you can tell, the bottle is almost empty. I liked it just a little bit, just a smidge. Hey friends, until the next time, peace, cheers, and most important, salute. Take care.